Florence in the 1600s was a city of artistry, commerce, and quiet transformation. Its streets were alive with the rhythm of daily life horse-drawn carts rattling over cobblestones, merchants calling out their wares, and the distant chiming of church bells marking the hours. By this time, the population hovered around 60,000, concentrated in the dense heart of the city, where narrow streets wound between palaces, workshops, and piazzas. Using modern AI tools, we can now breathe life into historic paintings, engravings, and prints, shifting perspective and moving through these centuries-old streets as if the original artists themselves had given us a camera. First, I want to talk about the Piazza della Signoria. This view shows Piazza della Signoria, the civic center of Florence by the early 1600s. In the foreground, the ornate Palazzo Vecchio towers over bustling squares filled with traders and townsfolk. The midground features a mix of sculptural works, including the towering Neptune fountain, while the background shows the clustered rooftops of artisan quarters. Daily life is vivid here, merchants shouting, children chasing each other between columns, and the smells of fresh bread and roasting chestnuts drifting from nearby stalls. Yet the square was not without tension. Civic debates often turned heated, and records suggest that political rivalries occasionally erupted into violence. By hosting Florence's government and public celebrations, the piazza remained a symbol of civic pride. Over the next century, renovations would see new statues added and repairs made after flooding from the Arno River. Remarkably, today this is a site you can still visit, largely unchanged in its iconic layout. This view shows the Ponte Vecchio spanning the Arno River. By the 1600s, this medieval bridge was lined with goldsmiths and jewelers, their shops extending precariously over the water. Foreground details include fishermen trying to net small fish, while gondola-like boats glide along the midsection. The bridge often carried the weight of heavy commerce, and contemporary accounts describe arguments and even scuffles among traders competing for prime positions. Ponte Vecchio mattered as both a marketplace and a vital crossing connecting central Florence with Oltrarno. Later, in the 18th century, the bridge's layout would see small modifications to stabilize its shops. Today, the same narrow bridge still hosts luxury shops, carrying centuries of commerce forward. This view shows the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore, dominated by Brunelleschi's massive dome. By the 1600s, construction was complete, but the interior and surrounding streets were alive with artisans painting frescoes, sculptors chiseling marble, and pilgrims entering for worship. The air smelled of incense and whetstone, mixed with the faint tang of leather from nearby cobblers. Large crowds created congestion, and city guards carefully monitored the entrances to prevent theft. This cathedral was the religious and cultural heart of Florence, a demonstration of the city's wealth and devotion. By the 18th century, restorations and additional decorations would enhance the dome's interior frescoes. Today, it remains a masterpiece of Renaissance engineering and art. This view shows the Boboli Gardens stretching behind the Pitti Palace. By the 1600s, these gardens offered Florentines a carefully designed retreat of fountains, sculptures, and tree-lined avenues. In the foreground, gardeners tend to flowers while noble families stroll in the midground. Birds sing and water splashes from fountains, creating a sensory haven away from crowded streets. However, maintaining these gardens was no small task, and records hint at labor disputes and frequent flooding from irrigation channels. The gardens reflected the Medici family's wealth and influence, serving as both leisure space and political statement. Later, expansion in the 1700s would add terraced viewpoints and additional sculptures. Today, visitors still walk these serene paths, almost unchanged from their early design. This view shows the Mercato Nuovo, the bustling central market of Florence. By the 1600s, it was alive with merchants selling textiles, leather, and exotic spices. Foreground scenes include baskets of citrus fruits and boats of dyed cloth, while the midground is crowded with buyers negotiating prices. The sounds of haggling, clinking coins, and shouting hawkers filled the air. Crowds could become chaotic, and city ordinances were needed to prevent theft and disputes. Economically, the market was vital for both local trade and long-distance commerce, feeding Florence's growing influence. By the late 17th century, portions of the market would be renovated to improve traffic flow. Today, the area remains a lively commercial hub, attracting tourists and locals alike. This view shows the Arno River's banks near Santa Trinita. Small boats transport goods while laundresses work along the river's edge. By the 1600s, this stretch was essential for trade, yet prone to flooding. In the foreground, children splash in shallow pools. In the midground, merchants load crates onto barges. The river's unpredictable behavior meant constant vigilance, and records describe occasional accidents and property damage. Its importance for trade and transport cannot be overstated, linking Florence to other Tuscan cities. Later embankments would help control flooding in the 18th century. Today, this riverside path provides a scenic glimpse into the city's commercial past. This view shows the Ponte Santa Trinita, a more delicate bridge built a century earlier. By the 1600s, pedestrians and carts share the narrow arches, while the river reflects the surrounding palaces. Craftsmen in the foreground maintain their shops nearby. Flooding and structural weakness were ongoing concerns, especially during heavy rains. The bridge mattered as a vital link between neighborhoods and for its architectural elegance. Renovations in later centuries preserved its unique elliptical arches. Today, it still spans the Arno, a testament to Florentine engineering. This view shows the bustling Via dei Tornabuoni, home to wealthy merchants and artisans. By the 1600s, the street was lined with palaces, workshops, and emerging boutiques. In the foreground, horse-drawn carts navigate the cobblestones. Midground shows families walking, servants carrying parcels, and street performers entertaining onlookers. Tensions arose from class divides and occasional theft. This street mattered as both a social artery and commercial hotspot. Later, renovations would modernize facades and introduce decorative gates. Today, Via dei Tornabuoni remains a prestigious shopping street, echoing centuries of urban life. This view shows the Church of San Lorenzo and its surrounding square. By the early 1600s, San Lorenzo was active with worshippers and market stalls. The square bustled with bakers, fishmongers, and children playing. Occasionally, tensions flared from crowding or disputes over space. The church was central to religious, cultural, and charitable life, closely linked to the Medici family. Over time, renovations enhanced its interior, while the exterior remained iconic. Today, San Lorenzo's piazza continues to welcome locals and visitors alike. This view shows the Oltrarno district, a quieter but industrious area across the river. Workshops hum with artisans producing furniture, ceramics, and leather goods. By the 1600s, families live above their shops, creating a dense, intimate neighborhood. Sounds of hammers, saws, and singing filled the streets. However, cramped conditions and occasional fire hazards kept life tense. This district was crucial for the city's crafts and small-scale trade. Over the next century, some buildings would be rebuilt or expanded. Today, Oltrarno preserves much of its artisan charm, a living connection to Florence's working-class past. This view shows the Piazza Santa Croce, home to the famous basilica. By the 1600s, the square hosts public events, celebrations, and occasional political demonstrations. Merchants set up temporary stalls in the foreground, while the basilica dominates the background skyline. The square is vibrant, but crowd control is necessary to prevent accidents or unrest. Santa Croce mattered as a religious center and as the burial site for Florence's notable citizens, including Michelangelo and Galileo. Later renovations and restorations preserved its grandeur. Today, visitors still gather in the piazza, aware of its layered history. Reflecting on Florence in the 1600s, it's remarkable how close this past feels. Walking virtually through streets, over bridges, and into piazzas, we can almost hear voices, smell spices, and feel the sun on cobblestones. Using AI reconstruction, centuries-old paintings and prints transform into living spaces, letting us step into the world of merchants, nobles, artisans, and children. If there's another city, moment, or scene you'd like to explore through AI reconstruction, let me know in the comments. Again, thank you so much.